is used that way 6 times in the last book of the Bible, and in extra-biblical works such as Sibylline Oracles, the Apocalypse of Baruch, and Esdras. Eusebius Pamphilius, writing about 303, noted that Peter referred to Rome figuratively as Babylon, unquote. Could Rome be the woman on the beast? That would make good sense, because the beast she rides is the revived Roman Empire. This woman is also called the great whore, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Obviously, literal whoredom and fornication would be impossible for a city, but spiritual fornication would be possible if the city were a spiritual entity. Jerusalem is such a city. It's called the Holy City and the City of God, having been chosen by God to represent Him to the nations. Tragically, Jerusalem violated that relationship and was repeatedly accused by God's prophets of spiritual harlotry and adultery. Isaiah said of Jerusalem, "How is the faithful city become a harlot?" Jerusalem, however, can't be the woman riding the beast, because it wasn't built on 7 hills, nor does it meet any of the other criteria in John's vision. There is one other city in the world, and only one, which is a spiritual entity, and could therefore commit spiritual fornication with the kings of the earth. And it's built on 7 hills. Again, that city is Rome, the headquarters of Roman Catholicism, which claims to be the true Christianity. The Pope claims to be the vicar of Christ. Moreover, the Roman Catholic Church claims that its members have taken the place of Israel as the true people of God, and that Rome is therefore the New Jerusalem. Catholic Rome claims the very titles God gave to Jerusalem: the Holy City, the City of God, and even the Eternal City. Let me pause for a moment to state sincerely that I have no desire to attack Catholics. I'm not a Catholic basher. I love Catholics, and I want them to know the truth. Let's set the record straight. The canons and decrees of the Council of Trent, which Vatican II reconfirmed, contain more than 100 anathemas damning me and every evangelical Christian for our beliefs and our unwillingness to accept Catholic dogmas and authority. So who is really bashing whom? Let's face the facts honestly from history and the Bible, whatever they may be. We've already discovered from John's vision that these 4 criteria, being a city known as Babylon, built on 7 hills, that committed spiritual fornication with earth's rulers, have ruled out every other city on earth except Rome. We are, of course, not talking about political civil Rome, but about religious Rome, and more specifically the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church. Its Pope is currently leading the greatest ecumenical movement in history in order to unite all religions under Rome's leadership. In 1986, Pope John Paul II gathered in Assisi, Italy, the leaders of the world's major religions to pray for peace. There were snake worshippers, fire worshippers, spiritists, animists, Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus, North American witch doctors. I watched in astonishment as they walked to the microphone to pray. The Pope said they were all praying to the same God, and that their prayers were creating a spiritual energy that was bringing about a new climate for peace. John Paul II allowed his good friend the Dalai Lama to put the Buddha on the altar in St. Peter's Church in Assisi, and with his monks to have a Buddhist worship ceremony there while Shintoists chanted and rang their bells outside. The prophesied world religion is in the process of being formed before our eyes, and the Vatican is the headquarters of the movement. Is this not spiritual fornication? The objection is immediately raised that Vatican City is only a small part of Rome and is not itself built on 7 hills. Historically, however, the popes ruled as kings over all of Rome and the surrounding area, as well as over large territories across Italy known as the Papal States. Pope Innocent III abolished the Roman Senate and placed the administration of Rome directly under his control. It wasn't until 1870 that Rome and the other Vatican-controlled territories were finally captured by the army of the newly united Italy. The Jews were liberated at last from Rome's shameful ghetto, and Pope Pius the Ninth took refuge in Vatican City, which has been the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church ever since. Today, the Vatican owns about 1/3 of Rome and its influence is everywhere through its churches and other institutions scattered throughout the entire city of Seven Hills. That church proudly identifies itself as the Roman Catholic Church. A recent article in the National Catholic Reporter titled "Rome, Where the Pontiff is Supreme," declared, quote, "No city comes close to being so suffused with religious culture as Rome is with Catholicism. What has emerged over the centuries is unmistakably a culture of the papacy," unquote. The article goes on to refer to the monuments to Roman Catholicism found everywhere in Rome and states, quote, "All roads lead, sooner or later, down the Via della Conciliazione to the Vatican. Rome is the world's spiritual crossroads," unquote. Our Sunday Visitor's Catholic Encyclopedia adds, quote, "Hence, one understands the central place of Rome in the life of the Church today and the significance of the title Roman Catholic Church. Since the founding of the Church there, Rome has been the center of all Christendom," unquote. This is the one city in the world built on 7 hills and known as Babylon, which is undoubtedly a spiritual entity. Has spiritual Rome violated its claimed relationship with Christ and thus been guilty of spiritual fornication? Christ said that his kingdom is not of this world, and his servants are not to fight. In direct disobedience, the popes, who included some of the greatest military leaders in history, fought with armies and navies in the name of Christ to build a huge kingdom, an unrivaled worldwide empire of property, wealth, and political influence, which is very much of this world. And they have repeatedly engaged in partnership and thus spiritual fornication with emperors, kings, and princes. Claiming to be the bride of Christ, the Roman Catholic Church has been in bed with godless rulers down through history. In more recent times, there were even alliances with Mussolini and Hitler. The Vatican literally put Mussolini into power. Pope Pius the 11th and his cardinals praised Mussolini as a man chosen by God and forbade Roman Catholics to oppose him politically. In turn, Mussolini signed the concordat with the Vatican in 1929, making Roman Catholicism the sole religion of Italy. The Vatican received 750 million lira in cash and 1 billion in state bonds. 4 years later, in 1933, came a similar concordat with Hitler, resulting in the Vatican's reception of hundreds of millions of German marks from the Nazi regime all through World War II. One could not ask for clearer examples of fornication with the kings of the earth. Similar concordats with many other governments have made the Roman Catholic Church the only religion allowed in those countries and have brought persecution and death upon thousands of evangelicals. Christ never joined forces with Caesar, nor did Peter or Paul, but the Roman Catholic Church has continually engaged in adulterous relationships with secular rulers right up to the present.
Welcome back to Truth Seekers. It's a pretty powerful film. It continues to be very powerful, as you'll see later. We're live tonight. Those phone numbers will be up there again in a second. And we're live every Saturday night when we're here. So you can give us a call, comment, anything that you want to say about what you just saw. I'm sure a lot of it is new to a lot of you folks out there. You know, Jay, the Catholic Church likes to call itself Christian. And you and I call ourselves Christian. You come from a Catholic background, like so many believers that I know. And yet, the Catholic Church, contrary to what Jesus said, Jesus said, "Do unto others whatsoever you would that men would do to you." And we know that the Catholic Church has engaged in 600 years under many popes, the Inquisition. And maybe next week we'll show films where Dave Hunt discusses the Catholic Church wiping out entire cities, 60,000 in one city, men, women, and children, mounting into the millions of all the Hussites and the Waldensians, and there were other groups like that. Pretty much the Huguenots in, I think, France, pretty much totally wiped out because they had read the Bible and said, the Roman Church is preaching things diametrically opposed to what Jesus taught. And I know a young man who likes to point out that